And some people are getting sick on purpose to get houses in New York.
Exactly.
Have you ever heard of that?
I agree with you guys with what some of the manifestations are. I agree with that, but we still cannot eradicate and overlook the fact whether they're, and coming from Atlanta, the number one city where for black gay men, okay, you're saying they're coming late. No, they're coming in early. They're still coming in early. Oh yes, it has a lot to do with all of the things that you guys said. Okay, but the bottom line is they're still out there having unprotected sex. Somehow we're still not building people's self-esteem, or so where they can get to the point where they say I'm worthy.
But it's not
it comes like you and I speak fire. We had to get to the point where we had to look at the man and the woman. I mean, I understand the social implications of HIV in the African American community, but there also comes a point in time, God bless him, may he rest in peace, but Michael Jackson said it better than anybody, you got to start with the man and the woman in the mirror. And we cannot continuously use the excuses of not having money, because I'll take you back to the beginning of this disease when there was no money, and the only people that took care of these people were people who were volunteering out of the kindness of the lesbian women was taking care of the gay men. Okay, then the gay men got together and we formed a group out in Bergen County called the New Jersey Buddies. So when you care, see what's in a man and a woman's heart has nothing to do with the outside, the externalism of society. It's what's inside of you. I come from a poor family, 10 kids, welfare. So we can't keep continuously using society as the reason why people are not doing what they have to do. Why are you doing what you have to do? Why am I doing what you went to die and got a doctor?
I understand that. In 1998, when the antiretrovirals came along, that was a breaking point. That really was a breaking point. Before that, there was money, class didn't make a difference. There weren't effective treatments. It didn't matter class-wise or not, you would die. But 1998 beyond, and that was about the time of Magic Johnson, we began to see people living. And Magic Johnson is a perfect example of that. So beyond 1998, the data and the numbers reflect, and the differences in communities reflect one of money and access to health care, to medications. And as the medications have had fewer and fewer side effects, you know, what Dr. Scott said to me, he said to me, he showed me some data which showed what we knew before 2007 or so, that all the complications of heart disease, lung disease were diminished tremendously when you started on antiretrovirals at the time of diagnosis. They knew that. The CDC then changed its recommendation. Remember early on, they were recommending that people wait 7 to 8 years to get sick, and their T cell level, their CD4 counts dropped to a certain point before they even started treatment. We're finding out now that that recommendation early on was just way backward. And there were a lot of people who died because they allowed...
This is a really, really fruitful conversation, but there are folks here who want to ask some questions.
Okay.
We have tons of questions.
And we have, Empress has arrived. And we have
the
performance coming up. So I know that was an interesting debate, and I'm sure people got the gist of some of it, but let's ask some other questions and move on. And Empress is ready, so we have an audience question.
My question's for Bernie.
Hey.
I was really interested when you were talking about, I don't want to get into the rant about the black church, but I really want you to get into that.
Let me tell you about the so-called black church.
Wait a minute.
It's, you know what? I say it with anger, but I really feel sadness. It almost can make you cry, because imagine believing that the one thing that you had in your life that was going to stand fast no matter what was the church that you was raised in and brought up in. My friend Tiger Richards, when I went to his funeral and the pastor blasted him while he was laying in the coffin and blamed everything on him. He died at 22, 21, and the pastor is chastising the dead man, and the church is saying, amen. Amen. And this was normal. This was normal. There were certain times you couldn't even find a pastor if they knew if you were a well-known gay person, they wasn't even coming. to preach. They couldn't find nobody to preach. We was preaching at each other's sermon. I didn't know what the hell I was saying. Amen. Put them down. There you go. I didn't know. But the black church is as much fault as Ronald Reagan, Ed Koch, and all the conservatives in the world. I actually have more disgust for the black church because we let our children die. And nobody stood up. Or if you go back and look at all the articles, even now, how much do you see the black church involved in that? You don't even hear them talking about it. The Catholic Church does more for people with AIDS than the black Christian church. We dropped the ball. And hundreds of thousands of people died because of that. Now, the mothers in the church that faint every Sunday, they may not agree with me. Oh, but we didn't know. But imagine your nephew, and mind you, if everybody know about the church, a lot of times your church is your family you grew up with, there, your cousins, your aunt, because you all go to the same church. Imagine being ostracized and your mother knowing that you can't come to the church and she still goes to the church and pray. How would you feel in your dying? You had no one. The black church, if we could take them to court, they get life.
You're right.
For murder.
Right.
It would be murder.
So did you notice like a trend where a lot of like gay black men started denouncing religion or the black church, or were just fed up?
Actually, you know what happened? It got worse. They married women, got the women sick, pretended to be straight, had some kids who were sick, and guess what? Now the epidemic is spread. And the black church is partly to blame for that. And I mean, I'm sure it wasn't intentional because ignorance is bliss, but they're just as culpable as Ronald Reagan, in my opinion. The black church did nothing, and they still don't. They're great for feeding homeless people. They're good with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, they do some good, but in that area, they get a -0.
Yeah, they haven't changed. My aunt just passed away, and she was one of the sweetest people you ever wanted to meet. And this preacher, her preacher, stood up and says, "I don't care what they say." Now this is my aunt who loved everybody. And my mother looked over at me, and that preacher said, "I don't care what they say. I ain't marrying no 2 women. I ain't marrying no 2 men. I ain't marrying them immoral and illegal." And the church says, "Amen."
So
and he repeated it 3 times.
So we got to be careful when we say, when we talk about the black community and how the white man did this and that. I'm going to say again, and I'm going to stand fast on this.
Yes.
The church is the black church in America is responsible for many, many thousands of deaths. And what happened was, remember, the church has been here for hundreds of years. We didn't know what was going on. So I didn't even judge the people that said, you know what, I'm not going to be gay anymore. I'm getting married. They creep out. They end up dying anyway. And now the wife is sick. You have children that are sick. And I remember when I first started working at University Hospital with Mary Matthews Ford, and I used to go and help her with the children with AIDS. And there were thousands. Now we're down to dozens, because with the drugs and everything. But yes, the black church is culpable for murder. Yes.
Empress is
And homelessness, whatever it is that she is asked to do, she's called to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, you'll love her after tonight. You'll love her just as much as we do. Miss Empress Vizcaya. Put your hands together.
Okay.
hip clap.
I did.
That's what I was about to say. You know, people can get, and especially young people, they think that it's okay now, but a drug is a drug. And you can get the impression that this is a cure. This is not a cure. This virus has not been cured, and I think that especially the youth, and some adults too, they need to know that. Disease comes around. I can tell you about syphilis and gonorrhea. It never stops. But at least you can cure gonorrhea and syphilis at that time. HIV, there is no cure. Not yet. It's a virus, and it's difficult to cure a virus.
And you know,
you have to educate the children to know that just because you can take a drug after having sex with someone you think may potentially infect you, that's not a good idea. You cannot live off a drug and still create your same sexual habits.
But it doesn't say, but doesn't PrEP kind of say, let's go be a hoe?
Yeah, and
I'm
that's
just making sure
everybody is very comfortable.
Well, one of the things that I just want to say is PrEP is not new. First of all, let's get that understood. PrEP is not new. PrEP was used in the study with African women. They had a big African women study with PrEP, tenofovir. That's the drug that they provided. That's what they're using. That's not something new. I don't know if it gives people permission to be a hoe or not. I think a hoe is a hoe, regardless of what they're going to do. But that's a personal choice that people have to make. That they have, but I think that it could lead to people misunderstanding exactly what it's to do. Because Israel said earlier that some people are taking it and it's working. So if it's working in some, but it's like anything.
But why would you want to take it? That's my question.
But the shock to me is, this is my shock, is why did they okay it anyway? Why did the FDA okay that drug that quickly?
I'll tell you why. Because despite many, many, many years of prevention efforts, we have seen the rate of HIV increasing in compromised communities, and every prevention method that we've tried. There's one study of 200 men who are in a high-risk group, same gender-loving men, gay men, and they were getting syphilis, gonorrhea, so they were having unprotected sex, and the study results revealed that not one came down with HIV.
Okay.
And the thing about it is that for whatever it's worth, what they're showing is that it is protecting people. So it is just one of a number of things in the armamentarium, including prevention, which people use. And it's particularly useful in serodiscordant couples, couples that are, one is HIV positive and one is HIV negative. So it's not as if it's the be-all, end-all. I wouldn't recommend it, and I think that people need to really examine the reasons why they need to take it. But it's saving lives, so.
Well, that's